Hey guys, what's up? I'm Christian Taylor, and today it is an epic battle between Spotify and Apple Music. So if you're like me, when you see Spotify versus Apple Music, you're probably like, psh, there is no battle. Spotify is clearly the best. I mean, they were first. Everyone uses Spotify. Apple Music just came along and thought that they were gonna steal a bunch of the market share. Just stop. Yeah, that's exactly what I was like too, until I started seeing the headlines. Oh shoot, Apple really is stealing a huge amount of the market. So I got to thinking, why? Why are people using Apple Music in giant percentages when Spotify was first and probably best? So I thought, it must be because Apple makes it so darn easy to sign up for Apple Music. It's right in the app. Meanwhile, Spotify's sign up process is... Are you trolling me? Yeah, you can't sign up for Spotify in the app. I see why a lot of average users picked Apple Music instead. This battle is further signified by Spotify just rushing an Apple Watch app to the market in a sign of panic, just trying to stay alive and keep more people from moving over to Apple Music. And then Apple responds by supporting Amazon Echo. That's definitely a sign of desperation and competition from Apple, because they don't normally do stuff like that. Now, as far as pricing goes, both platforms are the same price. They are $9.99 per month or $4.99 per month if you're a student, and they both offer a family plan, which is $14.99 a month for up to 6 people. However, what Spotify offers that Apple Music doesn't is access to Hulu's limited commercials plan for an extra $3 a month. Yeah, that's right, you can pay $12.99 a month and get Spotify Premium plus access to Hulu's service that would normally cost $8 a month. I personally subscribe to this plan, and that alone is a huge win for Spotify. Now, it's probably no surprise to anyone that Spotify is king with algorithms. Their Discover Weekly playlist is a playlist that they automatically create for you and update every week, and it is very similar to the style of music you listen to. And that's kind of the point. It's meant for you to discover music weekly. In addition, they create 5 daily mixes for you of different genres you listen to. This was just mind-blowing to me. All the different genres that I tend to listen to on Spotify, it latched onto, and it made a playlist with both music I listen to plus new music sprinkled in there with 5 different genres that are updated regularly. But the fight is not stopping there. I mean, you may think I'm just tackling Apple Music at full force, and I'm clearly a Spotify fanboy, but Apple Music has a couple tricks up its sleeve. Now, first of all, if you are an Apple Watch user, Apple Music is probably the way to go. The Apple Music app on your Apple Watch allows you to play music offline directly from the watch over Bluetooth. So translation, I could leave my phone at home and go for a run and be listening to music in my AirPods just because I've got my Apple Watch. That is something you can't do on Spotify's Apple Watch app. And don't even get me started with the Spotify Apple Watch app. While they do have one that allows you to control your music and change what is playing, that's it. You can't listen to music offline. I personally don't care about this because I always have my phone. But the bigger issue in my mind is it's not optimized for the new 30% larger Series 4 display. So the Apple Watch app is there on Spotify. I do use it, but it's definitely a subpar experience compared to Apple Music. Now, other pros to Apple Music include how you interact with the interface. So while I prefer the dark look of Spotify better, Apple Music is really intuitive with integrating 3D touch into the platform and long pressing on items to add it to the queue, and so on and so forth. Playlist creation is also just a pleasure on Apple Music, a little bit more convoluted on Spotify. And one huge hidden benefit to Apple Music is the queue system. On Spotify, it is really screwed up. It's hard to figure out, is this going to play next or is this going to play after this album when you add something to queue, Apple Music is very precise. They give you two options, play next or play later, and the queue system is much more intuitive. So at the end of the day, what this all boils down to is discoverability and availability. If you prefer music discovery and you want your streaming service to tell you what it thinks you should listen to or new music to check out, I think Spotify is going to be right for you. Now, in addition, Spotify is available on the most platforms possible. Whether you have a Google Home, a Sonos speaker, an Amazon Echo, an Android phone, whatever you've got, Spotify is going to support it. Now, Apple Music is a little bit more locked down. It does support Mac, Windows, Android, and iOS, and they are also adding support for the Amazon Echo on December 17th, so that is huge news for a lot of people. However, if you're a Google Home user or a Sonos speaker user, you're still going to be out of luck, and it's definitely not available on as many platforms. If, however, you are deep into the Apple ecosystem and you know what you want to listen to, you don't care about the recommendations, but you want the most ideal solution for Apple products and the most intuitive interface, Apple Music may be for you. For me personally, after using both services for a while, I'm going to be sticking to Spotify for two reasons. Number one, discoverability is very important to me, and number two, paying that extra $3 per month for Hulu is very attractive. I've really been enjoying using that, and it's definitely a money saver that Spotify is offering that package deal. So what do you guys think? Is Apple Music better or is Spotify better? Which one do you use and why? Definitely be sure to drop a comment down below, and if you like this video, please do hit that subscribe button, click the bell so you don't miss when I release new videos, and with that said, I will catch you guys next time.